Hello everyone, welcome back to our UI UX design class. I hope you all had a chance to watch our previous videos, especially the last one, which is our first session on the principles of design. If you missed it, don't worry, you can find the link in the description below. In today's class, we are continuing with our teaching on the principles of design, with emphasis on the principle of contrast. But before we begin, I want to take a moment to thank all of you for subscribing, engaging, and watching our design classes. Your comments, emails, questions, and ideas are what makes this community thrive, so please keep them coming. If you are new here, my name is Esther, a passionate UI UX designer with a mission to empower aspiring designers like you to create intuitive, visually stunning, and user-centered digital products. So whether you are a beginner looking to enter the field or a seasoned professional seeking to enhance your skills, this channel is designed to provide you with valuable insights and practical knowledge. Now let's quickly recap on the first principle we discussed in the last class, which is balance. We discussed that balance in design principles refer to the distribution of visual elements in a composition to create a sense of equilibrium and stability. There are also different types of balance, and we discussed the symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance, vertical balance, horizontal balance, visual weight, radial balance, and color balance. We noted that designers can create balance by considering various factors such as size, color, shape, and texture of elements, as well as their placement within the design to create or to drive impactful visual experiences. In today's video, we'll be continuing the fundamental principles that drive impactful visual experiences with emphasis on the principle of contrast. Contrast is a powerful tool that adds visual interest and creates a hierarchy of elements within a design. Contrast in design refers to the juxtaposition of different elements in a composition to create visual interest, emphasize certain elements, and establish a clear hierarchy. It involves the deliberate use of variations in color, like we have here, different colors coming together to give you good contrast, sizes of your texts, sizes of your icons, sizes of your buttons, shapes of your buttons, shape of your icons, texture or other visual properties to create noticeable differences between elements. So I'm going to repeat that again. It involves the deliberate use of variations in color, size, shape, texture, and other visual properties to create noticeable differences between elements. Contrast is a powerful design principle that helps guide the viewer's attention, creates visual impact, and convey meaning. So when you see a design with good contrast, it can guide your attention, help you know what to look at first, what to look at next, and so on and so forth. It helps some certain elements stand out and grab the viewer's focus while also establishing relationships between different elements within a design. Contrast is all about using opposites to capture your audience's attention and draw the eye to key parts of your messages So you are seeing that with contrast, you may be looking at light and dark, you may be looking at big and small, you may be looking at warm and cool. So we are using opposites to capture the user's attention, whether by color, whether by shape, whether by size, whether by textures or different properties coming together. Contrast can guide the viewer's eye to a focal point, highlight the important information, and add variety or even drama to that particular design. Paired with other principles like proximity, it can really drive a design's message home. We have different aspects of contrast in design that helps a design come to life. One of them is color contrast. Using contrasting colors such as pairing a light color and a dark color, or complementary colors which are colors opposite each other on the color wheel. Colors can create a strong visual impact. Color contrast helps distinguish between elements, draw attention, aid accessibility, and even evoke specific emotions. So when you see someone designing with purple, you'd feel a sense of calm, or you'd feel a sense of royalty. If you see someone designing with blue, you feel a sense of peace, a sense of calm, a sense of cool. When you see a red design, you see a sense of fun, a sense of love, a sense of being alive, a sense of happiness, joy, a sense of energy, or even danger. Color contrasts evoke emotions in people. Color is a key principle for creating contrast in design. It is the most popular concept of contrast. An example of this is a basic white background with a solid black text. The contrast between these two colors are very obvious. You can also use different colors on a neutral color and will still achieve good contrast depending on the tints and the shades you are choosing, depending on the variation of the color you are choosing. Another aspect of contrast in design is size contrast. Size can also be used to give people a sense of depth, progressively giving them the information they need. Varying the size of elements in a design can create contrast and establish hierarchy. Larger elements grab attention and become focal points, while smaller elements can serve as supporting or secondary elements. Big versus small is a simple example of contrast in sizes. Making things of different sizes draws attention to different types of information. So when creating a layout that includes different types of information, consider making each information type a different but consistent size. Placing a large object or block of text beside a small object or block of text has an impact. The eye naturally seeks out larger objects, interpreting it as more important. This type of contrast adds interesting diversity to your composition, and it is always useful when you are working with limited space. Another aspect of contrast is shape contrast. Different shapes can be used to create contrast and visual interest. Combining geometrical shapes with organic or irregular shapes can add visual intrigue and variety to your design. Creating a noticeably different shape at the key area of your design compared to the other elements in your layout is effective. For example, if the majority of your design is made of areas shaped as squares, dropping in a circle will cause the viewer's eye to instantly gravitate to it. Because the human eye is suited by similarities but intrigued by appreciable differences. The next kind of contrast we have is texture contrast. Utilizing contrasting textures such as smooth versus rough or glossy versus matte can create tactile and visual interest. Texture contrast adds depth and dimension to a design. The next kind of contrast we have is typographic contrast. Varying the font styles, weights, sizes, or colors of typography elements can create contrast and help communicate hierarchy and emphasis. It improves readability and visual appeal. So as a designer, much of your work will involve some kind of fonts. Color, size, shape can be applied. For unification, it is best to stick to one or two typefaces within a layout and use style variations. For example, try the light or the regular or the bold styles to create contrasting effects. Choose colors also that complement your overall color scheme in order to make your text stand out or de-emphasized. Creating a visual point of interest through contrast in design is one of the most important skills to have. It is a combination of various contrast techniques that offer optimal results. Using contrast in a balanced way won't seem like a punch in the eye to the viewer, but will naturally inspire them to look at the key points in your layouts. Contrast serves several important purposes in design. Contrast helps establish a focal point or highlight specific elements within a design. By creating a stark contrast between one element and the rest, designers can draw the viewer's attention to the focal point and make it stand out. Contrast can also help in establishing a clear visual hierarchy. By varying the characteristics of elements such as size, color, or typography, designers can create a sense of order and prioritize the importance of information within a composition. Contrast can improve the legibility and comprehensibility of your design. By contrasting texts and other elements with the background or surrounding elements, designers can ensure that content is easily readable and stands out, enhancing the overall clarity of the message. Contrast can add visual intrigue and excitement to a design. By juxtaposing elements with distinct differences, designers create a dynamic composition that captures and maintains the viewer's attention. Contrast can be utilized to create a sense of unity by highlighting the differences between elements that belong together. By contrasting elements within a cohesive design, designers can establish a relationship and create visual cohesion. Knowing and understanding when to use contrast and which elements to oppose is not always very obvious. You can use contrast in more than one way in a design. Just remember that there is such thing as overdoing it with contrast. Like we say, too much of everything is not good. Finding a balance in your contrast is key. Otherwise, you might overwhelm your readers or dilute your message. Remember that the goal should always be to create a unified design that gets your message across. But it is also important to note that contrast doesn't necessarily imply stark opposition or extreme differences. Effective contrast considers the overall aesthetic and purpose of the design, ensuring that your designs are meaningful and contribute to the overall design intent. So by skillfully applying contrast, designers can create visually compelling and engaging compositions that effectively communicate their intended message, guide the viewer's attention, and create a sense of harmony and visual interest. You need to intentionally incorporate contrast in design. You can do that with good contrast. Now we would look at tips to creating good contrast in design. You need to familiarize yourself with the color wheel. Since color is the easiest way to create contrast, it pays to have a peek at the color wheel. If you are not so good with understanding color contrast, you can always use the color wheel to reference your colors. In this way, you can pick colors on the opposite sides of the color wheel to, create good contrast. That's what we call complementary colors. You can also decide to put a particular color on neutral colors like white, like gray, like black. You can pair hard and soft shapes together. You can get a hard shape. Hard shapes are squares, rectangles, those ones that have sharp edges, and then you can pair them with soft shapes like circle or a blob, which is an organic shape. You can also keep scale in mind. So when it comes to creating contrasts with size, you can create relative sizes on your designs. Some sizes to be big, some sizes to be small, to catch your viewers' attention. You can also combine clean and gritty textures. Just like the soft and hard shapes, you can combine clean and gritty textures to create an interesting contrast. A clean texture may simply be a flat colored background, while a gritty texture may be a distressed or raised pattern, like the pattern of a squeezed paper. Combining this type of textures can add visual interest to an otherwise flat design. If your creation is looking too classic or plain, you can decide to add some textures that would bring your design and make it come alive. Remember that these principles are not strict rules, but rather guidelines to help you make informed decisions. So you can experiment around it, you can play with it, you can see how these principles can be applied creatively to suit your specific design goals. Did you know that in less than a second, the human brain accumulates a massive amount of information from viewing a single design composition? The eye does not move the way it does when reading text. The eye does not move the way it reads text in design. The eyes can just grab the entirety of your design at one glance. Now you know that you need to create designs that can capture the mind of people and make your design stick in their minds. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to hit the like button or subscribe to our channel for more design tips and tutorials. And don't forget to leave a comment, share your favorite design principle, share your ideas, share your thoughts, and we will be glad to reply you. Thank you all for joining me in this class. Let's continue to learn, explore, and design. Until next time, keep designing, keep creating, and keep making the world a better place, one user experience at a time. Take care and see you soon.